Hello people, it's me Jess, here with another reading. Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I thought we could do a lovely reading on what is your biggest blockage. So without further ado, I've got 3 piles here. Pile number 1, pile number 2, and pile number 3. I'll put your picture up if you want to look at that. Otherwise, I will see you at your reading. Okay, pile number 1, what is holding you back? What is your biggest blockage? Okay, so I love this message, and there's a lot of different components here, so just bear with me as I try to get through all of these. But honestly, I'm hearing that Backstreet Boys song. I think it was in the Princess Diaries, but it's like, what makes you different makes you beautiful. What's there inside you shines through to me. And so there's something inside of you, pile number 1, not to sound like Exorcism of Emily Rose or anything, but there's something really interesting. I want to say the word strange. Something strange, interesting, and unique that really does want to come through you. I feel like it's a message, some kind of interesting take that you have on something that wants to come out into the world, and it has the potential to really be of service to a lot of people, to get them thinking very differently. But I feel like maybe you're treating this a bit precious, and I do just want to say before I get very far into this, and if I don't do this, please remind me, because I'm happy to share my resources with you guys. But I would do some research on things like perfectionism, imposter syndrome, self-sabotage, those kinds of things. And one channel that is really helping me with that right now is called Sleuthness, Sleuthness, I think. I love him. He is so down to earth, and he's very well researched, and he's gone through a lot of these things himself, but they're all kind of interconnected in my world, and they might be interconnected in your world. And the reason I'm saying this is because I feel like one thing that's holding you back is stepping up into like some kind of a leadership role. Now, Spirit, we get this energy on my channel a lot. I'm so grateful for you guys. And I'm so glad that we're having this energy, because as you know, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and we're kind of working out the kinks right now. And I feel like you could be one of those people that are an Aquarian leader. You are, not only do you have interesting, maybe boundary pushing ideas, but more than that, I feel like, you have this kind of Aquarian vibe to you. And what I mean, Aquarius is a sign of the group, and it's also energy of like every single person is valuable and has different things that are valuable to this wholeness of the group. I feel like you have a very whole personality, and maybe you actually, Aquarius is the place in the zodiac where we put down our individual egos and we start thinking kind of in a godlike way, where we have like a collective consciousness. We start to view the world as a whole. We start to see things like via the collective. And so I feel like there's something here where you are doing that. You're more and more embracing that. Aquarius is also, because it's the water bearer, but it says like, in order for the water to get out, you have to crack the pot. And the pot is kind of your ego. And so that's another thing that I feel like is kind of getting in your way here. It is your individual ego. And I don't mean, this group is definitely not like egomaniacs, but all those things that I mentioned before, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, they're an over focus on self. And that, I feel like it's a form of self-sabotage for you, where you're just like, maybe there's things in your past where you're like, if I'm just perfect, then no one can criticize me. And there's something here, some of you guys already, like, you want to either put something out there on social media for a group, or you know that you have this really interesting idea, and I think you actually see a lot of value in it. Even though it's like maybe out there or strange, you're not like, I don't really feel that you're demonizing it, like where you're like, that's weird and different, no one will appreciate it. I actually think that you know that it has value, and so it's almost like you retreat into like your cave and you work on it a lot because you want it to be perfect, and you're focused in on all these details, but then it's making you self-sabotage, I feel like, but it's also making you unhappy. And you're doing that, I feel like, because you feel you only have one chance to put something out there in the world. And so switching to a more process-oriented philosophy, I feel like, is really going to help you, because the advice here, just to skip ahead, is the Page of Pentacles, where it's like, just start, just love what you love, because there's always a sense of intrigue for me with the Page of Pentacles of like, look how he's just reverently looking at that pentacle, you know? It's so different than the King of Pentacles that kind of like is really proud of what he's built, but there's not that same intrigue, possibly because he's brought a lot of his dreams to fruition. But I just love this simple love. And the Page of Pentacles, to me, it's just starting, taking a step in the material world. Even if you're unsure, look at his stance here. He does not look like he has a solid, like feet shoulder width apart. He's not like solid and stable, but it's like, just take any step that you can and allow the love of it to flow through. Because another thing that I feel like you guys are really worried about, and that's why you're like, oh, I got to get this perfect before I put this out in the world, is copycats. And I feel like that's something here, like, to maybe even just for you, like spending some time thinking about it, because there's a certain amount of like copycattery, I guess we'll say, that is like evocative of learning. But I also feel like we have to be careful the way we talk about that. Like, if you are a child, then a lot of what you learn comes through copycatting, mimicking things. But usually, like, the time for that is like in a student phase where you're calling yourself a student. So if it's almost like where you do no harm with that copycat energy. It's like, if you want to plaster student driver on your back and go out there, give credit to your teachers, all of that, then that's really, really good, But if somebody, like, I feel like you guys could have had experiences where people have seen the value in your idea, but you're still small. With this Aquarius energy here, I'm almost kind of hearing like, who am I? I'm a nobody. I don't have a platform. I'm not a leader, or something like that, where you feel like, and I feel like with this group, for most of you guys, it's more than just feeling that way. I feel like you have experienced this on whatever level it is. You have, I just feel like you guys have a lot of ideas, to be quite frank. Like, you're very creative and you're very intuitive. And I want to say this, you guys, this is a very inspiring pile. You have K2 energy over here. And K2, shout out to my girl Claire Nocti, patron saint of my channel, and definitely my Patreon. I learned so much from her. She really, really prizes K2 energy as being super innovative, because K2 is the, I don't know why I said innovative. I never say that like that. I don't even know if that's proper, but innovative. But it is the South Node, where she says that you bring a lot of your creativity into the world. Now, K2, it's the headless body, so it's not tainted by thinking. So actually, like, a lot of people connect with K2 dominant people and the messages they bring into the world. K2 rules nakshatras in the fire signs, so these are fire sign individuals. If you're not very familiar with K2, think about a fire sign. Somebody who is a leader, somebody who and K2 usually is associated with the voice. They have a very hypnotic way of speaking, and it doesn't necessarily have to be logical, although I think a lot of you guys are very, very logically smart, scientifically minded even. But that's important for this time. So basically what I'm trying to say by that, K2 also rules over our past lives. This thing that you're bringing into the world, even if someone were to copy it, it wouldn't be the same as if it's like coming through you, because I'm kind of hearing like the message and the messenger are one, and it's almost like there's this chemical reaction that's happening. There's a potency if it comes through you as a channel, and you might have to build it up with the Page of Pentacles. You very well could, and people could try to kind of like mimic your process. You know what else? You know what's a good example of this is recipes. You know, like if you come up with a recipe yourself and like you love it, it's your favorite dish, and you spend all this time interacting with it, building a relationship with it, you know, where you're getting everything just right, you know which spatula you like to use, you know, that kind of thing. And so obviously you want to share that with people, and maybe you bring it as like an offering for a barbecue or something, and people try it and they just love it, you know, and then they ask you for your recipe. But you ever notice that nobody really can replicate the recipe in the same way because they say like the love is missing? But it's not the love like just as you're making it like, oh, I love you, la la la. It's like the love is the process. And when you love something, you are going to pay attention to the details. You're going to express it in a way that somebody who's just kind of going through the motions, it doesn't come alive. It's not like they're breathing life into that creation. And Spirit wants to draw your attention to that with this Thief card over here. Because I feel like you could have been surrounded by people, or you're worried about people stealing money, creative ideas, affection, or other powers you think you lack. Not you, but that these people think they lack. I feel like that's the energy that you've been around. And a big lesson for you through all of this process with this thief energy is sheds light on the potential wealth within you that can never be stolen. And so there is this wealth within you. And with K2 here, I'm telling you, it comes from past lives. This is something you've been really building up. So this, in a way, it feels like a spiritual mission, whatever this is. And I feel like it's intimately tied, especially to your childhood and certain lessons that you've had to build up and learn. There's a lot of learning energy here with this Aquarius. Some of you guys have learned about weird or interesting fields, or even a STEM field, but it's like you could bring something really interesting to a STEM field. It's just a matter of like allowing yourself to really be seen. And especially if there's a group involved here, or like you want to put something out, like float an idea on a social media platform or something, then or you have an idea that it somehow involves a group of people, you know, that could influence a certain group of people, and you want to put it out there. It's like, just allow yourself to be seen, because like, just like that Backstreet Boys song, what's there inside you shines through to me. It's like people connect with your energy around certain things. And so when you're focusing on the details and you're kind of killing your energy around this, people will pick up on that. Like, I'm not trying to say that as like a threat, like, oh, people pick up on your energy, so smile. Like, I don't mean it like that. I just mean that like it can bog your energy down, and it can be just a way of making you feel sad, you know, and wanting to give up. So I feel like switching to a process-oriented mindset where you see yourself in process, you know, and if you share something that you love or that you're interested in, and even if you share it like that, like, isn't this super intriguing? And then even just opening it up to like what other people know about that. I never, ever regret doing that. Yeah, because I feel like there's something here. Oh, look. I feel like you guys, oh, look. Maybe some of you guys, this involves children or teaching, especially with Aquarius here. I always think of Aquarians as teachers, really strong teachers. But that's what this kind of looks like here, is like mentorship. Because I feel like there's something where you could build it up to be very, very strong over time, but you're only going to do that through some kind of inspiration. And again, seeing yourself in process. Also, as you see yourself in process, you're going to draw your people to you. And I didn't really finish this thought earlier, but that's something that I'm kind of getting, is like, there's a difference between copying something, right? Like verbatim, and like trying to basically steal someone's brand, someone's packaging, someone's method or mechanism to however they approach whatever field they're in. That's one thing, you know. Whereas like we all naturally become inspired by other people. So take what I do here on this channel. I've been hugely inspired by Claire Nocti, and I know so many of her videos inside and out, and I use a lot of her knowledge that she's gifted to the world, but I'm kind of repurposing it and repackaging it, and I'm using it in my own craft in my own way. And that is not the same thing as copying. Plus, you guys know that I'm really big on giving people credit wherever I get like some kind of inspiration or something. I always try to do that. Also, because your girl is sun dominant, and that is what we do. That's why we the leaders out here. That's why sun energy is leadership energy, is because it doesn't try to thieve. It's like, wow, that's really cool, you know, and like to like uplift that. And with this being Aquarius's opposite sign is Leo. And so there's something here. I'm hearing lead from the back, like the pack. I'm so sorry you had to hear that. But you know, like wolves, the alpha always is in the back. They have strong ones in the front to protect the pack from the front. But the leader kind of leads from the back. So a lot of you guys, like, you have been doing that and you've been called up into this leadership energy. Possibly this has to, I'm getting strong camera energy. Aquarius to me rules over internet, social networks, but this is Mars and Pisces energy with the 10 of Cups. Why, that was okay. And like, Pisces can represent some kind of a loss. Mars is action and it's energy. So maybe with this perfectionism tendency, you guys are kind of, you feel like you're purging energy on trying to make things like absolutely perfect, you know, because like I said, it almost feels like, oh, I want to put everything I know out there so that no one can really steal this, when in reality I feel like that can almost be a killer too, because I've done with certain things where I'm like, I have to fit in every little piece of knowledge, because inevitably, like, you'll have somebody in the comment section that's like, what about this? What about that? But then if you're trying to make something as like content or like to keep people interested, it can really weigh down your message. So it's like pulling out and not being so detail oriented. K2 is an energy that does not like details. And it goes off of like vibes and things like that. So basically what's holding you back, pile number one, is stepping up into the leadership position that you are. That's another thing I want to draw your attention to. It's being like really pointed out to me in my mind right now, is that, you know how they say the end and the means are one? It matters what energy you are in. It matters the type of person that you are, especially if you become a leader in a leadership position. And this is a message we get on this channel time and time again, is like all these Aquarian leaders who have maybe even risen up through the ranks. You've spent a lot of time in groups being maybe overlooked. This could be energy of somebody who you are always a part of a group and you like to work for the well-being of all. So you throw out certain ideas, and then the leaders like repackage your idea, and to management they make it seem like it was their own idea. And maybe in the past you haven't really cared so much about that, just as long as the, you know, culture improves, just as long as the systems improved. But now this is something that kind of comes from you, and so you are really wanting to get this right, and you want the credit, and you want to be able to continue and build this message because you know so much about it, perhaps with this Aquarius energy, that you want to make sure that you have the space to get more out. That's another thing where, like, this thievery energy, it can really choke out the group. But I feel like you know this inside and out, pile number one, where you're like, oh, these copycats, they put it out as their message one time to get views or clicks or whatever, but then the message dies there because it didn't come naturally from that person. Where for you, it would be step one. It would be this tiny little thing that you could continue to build interest in, knowledge, all of that. So all of this is really important to you. But Spirit is saying, like, don't close down the grip. Like, with this humor card, I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. Oh, look, I just looked over here because I was curious what was on the bottom of the deck. Purpose. I know what I'm here to do. You don't have to hold your purpose so tightly, especially because it is ordained by Spirit. You may see people try and copy your message, but it doesn't have the same energetic hit. It doesn't get people excited about it in the same way as when you speak about it, if it comes so naturally from inside of you. It was a seed that was planted, I want to say lifetimes ago, but it has grown in your darkness, pile number one. It has grown inside of you as an individual, inside of the darkness and warmth of your body. And when it starts to come out and lean towards the sun, that kind of a process that leads up to this, it cannot be replicated. So identify different things within your message that you bring to the table that other people cannot steal. They cannot, you know, they say you can't coach heart. You can see when someone comes alive with their message. You feel that, you know, and usually there's not a whole lot of like trying to smack other people down. Claire Nocti on her channel, she has a really good video on copycatting, the spiritual implications of it, the karmic consequences of it. And one thing that she says when she's talking about that is that a lot of times copycat energy becomes hater energy because somebody just wants your recipe, but they don't want, what they're really drawn to is the fact that you have somehow connected with your mission, things that you've learned in your past lives. You're connecting that to how you can bring that forth into the world. You've become the South Node, which your South Node is your connector point to Spirit always, and it's how Spirit comes into this world, is through each one of us, but it's through our South Node. And then our destinies, each one of us, is to externalize our North Node energy. So definitely check out your North-South Node axis. I wonder if it has strong Aquarius in it, or K2, which is at the beginning of all the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. But as you self-actualize your North Node, from a place of your south node. That's how you bring divine energy into the world. So anybody copying off that, they're not connecting to their own south node. So it's actually not divine energy that's coming into the world. It's this thieving energy, which the end and the means are one. That is not a leader that spirit is trying to empower. They're trying to take that success for themselves. And that's what happens when you try to fulfill your Rahu without first going through that south node energy. So if you're wondering if what you're doing is bringing good into the world, make sure that as you go after those north node traits in your chart, that you are pulling it through your south node traits always, because otherwise it will be disembodied, and you'll lose your focus, you'll lose your sense of purpose, and then that doesn't really sustain things for the long term. So spirit's trying to say, like, you have to start somewhere, pal number one. You got to start small, and you might as well start by being authentic, by coming out to the front, because that's actually the energy, even though it doesn't feel like it, even though it's really, really scary to put yourself out there, especially in places where you know you're different. You know, and this even could be demographically, like if you're entering a field that's predominantly male and you're a woman, or that's predominantly white and you're black or Indian or whatever it is, you know, having the courage to be like, I know I'm different, but it's because of that I have a different experience and I have a different voice to add to this conversation. You know what I mean? And then just owning that and walking into that space and taking yourself really lightheartedly, because some of you, there is like a seriousness, you know, to this. But yeah, I feel like this is kind of a subtle way where your energy is being zapped, is like through that perfectionism here as well too. So, yeah, this is a big thing. Nobody really can, like, there's certain elements of this that nobody's going to be able to copy. And that's actually what's important for your spiritual journey too, is like cultivating those things. Spirit has been trying to reach you, I feel like, and there could even be certain, I'm just hearing in my head, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I actually, maybe some of you have a mentor in your life where you're learning a lot from this person, but I feel like Spirit is saying, you the mentor, baby. You the mentor, baby. And so, yeah, people are going to want to copy whatever this is that you're doing. It's just important that you establish like a certain way where that's respectful, you know, and just even like clarifying your own energetic boundaries of like, I'm okay with this, I'm not okay with that, you know, clarify that to spirit. Like if it doesn't feel good to me, you know, yeah. So I don't know if I address this Mars and Pisces. Sometimes I get like on a roll with something, but Pisces can sometimes be a loss. So I feel like you, there's certain actions here, this perfectionism where it's like, it is actually causing a loss of energy. But yeah, some of you guys, I don't know, I'm just getting like being well known, or like getting yourself out on camera or something here as well too. But I'm also hearing that hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. Don't hide yourself in the crowd. Don't hide yourself. Like, make it very clear what it is you're doing and what your messaging is, because you're going to attract people who are gonna resonate with something. And you could even change minds and hearts by offering this unique perspective. So, yeah, and with this Knight of Cups out here, it's okay to have worldly goals as well as your spiritual goals, but just thinking about it, it's like, I feel like it is some kind of a loss of energy. Pisces rules over fantasies, you know, and then you've got this Mars energy, right? Just thinking about it, it's causing a loss of energy or a loss of momentum or something. So it's saying, take whatever step, no matter how small. Yes. So I feel like that's what I have for you guys, pile number one. That was a lot more. I wasn't expecting it to just like come out through that. But don't forget, I would highly suggest just doing a little research on topics like perfectionism and self-sabotage and how they interact with each other, imposter syndrome. Because like I said, first of all, that can be a very highly self-focused energy. Aquarius is all about overcoming that self-focused energy. And like I was saying before, I don't feel this is like an egomaniac group where you guys are out there like, oh yeah, I'm the best, da da da. Like quite the opposite. But it's almost like, you know how sometimes people say, even when you're really anxious, like shout out to me, even when you're really anxious or you're really shy, that is still your ego. That's just a different expression of it, because it's still very much self-focused. You know, and so it's almost like maybe that's a way you're not used to looking at it, or a message you're not used to getting of like, but it is still like strongly a self-focus, but it's telling you that connecting with the service-oriented nature of whatever this is that you're doing is going to help pull you forward. Almost where you set yourself aside and say, actually, I feel like I have something that's going to help the world. I'm going to learn how to I'm going to allow myself to be in progress, or yeah, in progress, in process, and I'm going to take it really lightheartedly, and I'm going to, the end and the means are one. I'm going to build this with an energy of love. But that's what I'm going to do. Aquarius is also fixed air. So I feel like there's certain things in your mind and in your psyche. Maybe some of you guys want to work with a life coach or a therapist that can help you parse apart like some very deeply rooted thought processes inside of yourself that are contributing to this. You guys definitely check out that video on sleuthness, because I think it's the imposter syndrome one, where he walks you through like a method that he uses to get at these like underlying beliefs that he doesn't deserve success, for instance, or that every time he gets success, failure always follows. Like, whatever it is for you, but like he walks you through that. I just really love that channel so much. But anyways, that's what I have for you guys. Pound number 1. If it resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye, guys. Okay, so pile number 2. What is your biggest handicap? What is your biggest blockage right now currently in your life? So I'm seeing a lot of ways that this energy could just be like very nuanced and come through depending on your situation. But essentially, I feel like a lot of you guys, there's something here that there's different situations, but there's something here that either you're trying really, really hard not to see and really, really hard not to look at. There's one specific decision that you are struggling to make, or you're just struggling to make decisions here in general overall in your life. And I feel like this stems from themes of the Aries Libra axis, themes of selfhood and themes of other, where we stand strong in ourselves and where we make negotiations and allowances for other people, and where we try to step out of ourselves and empathize with another person's perspective. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, there's some kind of like discrepancy from your social life to your career, because we find balance in different ways in those different realms of our life. And what I mean, because you've got the Libra card here with Justice, and you've got the Six of Pentacles. Both of these speak to a kind of balance. In Libra, you've got one-on-one balance, where each person is like, they're pulling their own weight, and like the balance goes like this between these individuals. The Six of Pentacles is also considered a balance card, and it's very This is considered a very stable situation, but it is where one is the giver and the other is the receiver. So obviously you want each of these kinds of balance, but you want them in different areas of your life. So I feel like part of the confusion, especially if you're struggling to make decisions as a leader, or if you know, you're like, I find all the balance in my career. Because I'm the leader, because I know that I'm very giving, I have a lot, my cup runneth over, and so there's balance in that situation. But it's not working so well in my personal life. It's because we look for balance in different ways in those different areas. And so I feel like even just sussing that out is going to help you make these decisions or see things more clearly. So I feel like for this pile, a big thing for you guys that I feel like will help overall is getting really clear on your values. I've been doing this a lot lately, and maybe actually I'll pause this because balance is coming through so strong. Balance is one of my values, and I literally in the back of my planner have done research on all these different values because it's so easy to think that you know what they mean, but then when you start to research which components go into them, like sometimes it's really eye-opening, or you realize that there's actually really little ways that you can live your values in your life. But anyways, like one of the things that I learned about balance when I was researching it is it's recommended to take a long-term view of balance, because so many of us try to find balance in like the little moments where, like, say you hold, because so much of life you're trying to find balance, you're trying to find this middle ground, this gradient between two extremes. So say you value being really strong but also being really vulnerable, and those are two values you have, but you want to bring them into some kind of balance. Well, say you have to go to like a court case or something, and so you have to be like really strong, but maybe that court case lasts all day, so you got to be strong for like an entire day. But then on the weekend you're hanging out with your kids, or your puppy, and you're really vulnerable and you're soft and you're sweet and you're open, and that's a way that you achieve balance, but you achieve it on a different scale than like maybe you were really thinking about, because sometimes we have to lean into different extreme parts of ourselves because it's more fitting for that situation. So that was one thing I learned about balance. Maybe that's helpful. And then another thing that I learned about balance was that sometimes you have to lose it in order to find it. And I'm about to use a really bad example. Please don't do this, because someone could end up hurt. But you know how some people like try to teach their kids how to swim by just like throwing them in the pool? And the theory behind that is just like when they hit the water, their body will just kind of naturally figure that out. Maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. I'm honestly not an expert in that. That to me sounds scary. I don't want anyone getting hurt. But you see what I'm saying? Like sometimes I feel like, yeah, like sometimes when you lose balance, just like you trying to like letting go of control of it and just trying to like actually do the motions, you'll actually end up finding a weird rhythm here for yourself. So maybe that's another thing here that's like really helpful. Yeah, so I'm seeing this also play out on like in different ways, right? So some of you guys, I feel like, are in a situation where you work for a company, there's a hierarchy, you have a boss, and there's certain things that make you feel uncomfortable about how to work for this company. There's certain things that are expected of you that frankly feel like they're treading upon your own individuality. But if you get really clear on what your priorities are, you might actually realize that there are certain company policies that you've maybe been resisting, even on an energetic level. You kind of half-heartedly do them, but you've been pulling back from doing them because it doesn't feel like it resonates with your own selfhood. But when you get really clear on your values and those priorities, because it's like, well, what do I want to achieve when? Some of you are going to find ways where you actually can be more accommodating to the company policies, or you can find your own way to do it. And if that's the case, I feel like people are going to notice, and there's a possibility for you to get some kind of a promotion, which would then maybe get you leadership experience, a little bit more money, to where you can like start on some kind of entrepreneurship journey that you have for yourself. But again, it's like that longer term view of balance where you're viewing yourself in process. So it's like, where can you make allowances? And there's certain places where you shouldn't make allowances. I hope that you hear me say that, and I'm not saying roll over and do whatever it is that like people want you to do. I'm just saying I think you can find like a balance. You can find a good fit for yourself in that way. Some of you guys, you're also like creatives where you have something that you really want to put out into the world, but maybe you hold yourself back because you don't feel like you should have to play certain like of societal games, right, with all this energy. But I want to say, a lot of you guys, you have a seduction about you. You have like, right, Don Juan spotlights your positive seductive qualities. With Leo being here, I feel like some of you guys have like, and you also have Libra and Aries, like some of you guys, you're legitimately attractive people. Maybe you've lost a little bit of touch with that, but I feel like there's parts about you where like society would be like that falls into like very traditional standards of beauty. But for others of you, you have a seduction that maybe is a little bit different. It's I just heard off brand. Maybe some of you, I don't know, but I'm getting like, especially if you're an artist or something, maybe you have to go to shows and exhibits and you're like, I shouldn't have to do my hair and makeup. It's not really, I don't like to do it, you know? But for some of you guys, it's like if you find little ways to just show up and look nice, you can almost reframe this as putting your product forward in the best way that you can, and finding some kind of a balance to be had with it. Because I feel like you could also attract somebody who's like a business partner or like an investor or something. And okay, so and I feel like I'm doing a bad job of explaining this because I'm really trying. It's like, the message really is not to sacrifice yourself where you don't feel comfortable to, but if you really dive into it, there's ways that you can do this. But I was telling this to pal number one, especially with that example that I just gave of the artist who maybe doesn't want to, they don't want to be commercial, or they don't want to have to focus on a marketing campaign or something because it feels like bad. I totally understand that. But maybe you want to look into like self-sabotage, perfectionism, and imposter syndrome. And I recommended the channel Sleuthness to pal number one. He has videos on all those topics that have been hugely helpful for me. But I'm going to try to remember to link them below. Since this is the second pile they're coming up in, I probably will remember by the end of this video. But yeah, there's something here about just taking a sense of pride in yourself, in the way you're putting yourself forward or something like that. Okay, so there's another like very specific message that wants to come out. And don't take this on if it doesn't resonate with you. But with this Don Juan card, somehow my brain is jumping to Dear John by Taylor Swift, this song. And that's actually a love song, but it's also like it's kind of a sad, melancholic breakup love song. And so I feel like some of you guys are in leadership positions, positions of power, things like that, and you are in a relationship with someone, or maybe this is just a type that you are going after, and your guides are wanting you to think about this before it becomes like a situation where you've signed contracts and things. But there's an energy around you that's very attractive. Like you find this person or this like your type or whatever, like very physically attractive, you know, almost to the point where you're just like mesmerized by this person. And but this person, I feel like, has kind of pulled the wool over your eyes in a certain sense, because I'm just seeing someone kind of condescendingly petting this lion. And I'm just hearing like, learn the difference between flattery and genuine praise, because flattery tends to be really shallow, empty, and hollow. And I feel like that's what this person kind of could be doing, because they want something else out of you, which is status, visibility, position, stability, money, things like that. And some of you guys, like I said, I feel like you're already in a relationship with this person, but it hasn't been an equal give and take. Maybe you're always the giver in the situation. This came up in my Patreon reading a couple like weeks ago, and I got heated in that reading, but I'm actually I'm doing better about not getting heated about it. But I said to them in that reading, it was pile number 2. I remember it was like it was yesterday, because I don't like a manipulator. I really, really don't. But nobody does, Jessica. That's to make you special. Thanks, Jessica. Okay. But I said to them, I was like, you are nobody's ATM. Pile number 2, you are no one's ATM. You have positive, seductive qualities. You are someone who is worthy and, you know, and deserving of someone, right? You deserve this kind of balance in your relationships. Maybe for some of you guys, that's scary. That's a scary prospect because, again, like you look like a provider. Maybe that's what somebody's saying too. Oh, okay, I'm going to say this. I hope that I'm going to try. I don't mean anything by this. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay. I'm getting kind of toxic femininity vibes from this. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking about an energy, and feminine energy can be toxic. It can also be healthy. Masculine energy can be toxic and can also be healthy. But what I mean by this, like more toxic feminine energy that I'm getting is like, that's more like vanity or gossip. At least in my mind, that's how I think of it. But also playing the victim. In order to get what you want out of someone. Maybe I'm spilling the tea. Maybe I'm breaking girl code here, but like I said, I do not like a manipulator, and I just don't like that, because it's like being female. I just want to say this, like being female is not a handicap. And so sometimes, like, I've heard women say this so many times, not most women, but I have heard a significant number of women say things like, you're supposed to play the victim in order to make your man feel like a strong man. That bothers me, because I promise you your man is strong, and I promise you can not have to lie to him. and like butter him up in order to like get whatever it is out of you, that you want from him. But I'm just kind of getting a situation where a person could be like, I can't do it on my own. You're such a big, strong man. What would I ever do without you? And I'm saying that because I shuffled all these extra cards over here on accident, but it really painted a picture for me with this prostitute energy, places material considerations and security above self-empowerment. Like, maybe you're with someone who does like have a legitimate like handicap. I hope I'm not being offensive using my language there. I'm not trying to be. Maybe you do have someone like that, but being female is not a handicap, or having someone who's in more feminine energy, it isn't. Like, if someone is unable to take care of themselves and do basic things, perhaps like consider enrolling this person in a community college where they can learn basic adult skills. It's not cute. Anyways, with this servant energy, using lack of money as an excuse not to move forward with life. Some of you guys are the breadwinners, and this person's like, oh, I can't provide for myself without you. But honestly, I feel like you have a generous heart. If you have a family, if you have a, whatever with this person, I feel like you just have you're all heart. Look at you. You're all heart. Gonna take care of that person, but perhaps taking care of that person, I'm hearing Jesus in my head, right? Teach a man to fish and he eats for a lifetime. Give a man a fish, he eats for a day, or whatever. It's like this person is almost like very convincing, and they use their sexuality and they learned how to butter you up and make you feel like a big, strong person in order for you to keep enabling them to use and like leech off of your energy. I'm sorry, I really do not like that. I don't. And I'm sorry if that was offensive in any way, but also you guys know that I get kind of protective of you or on this channel, and I super don't like a manipulator. But anyways, that's what I'm getting. So this has to do with bringing things into balance with the temperance. And also if you are falling for people over a sexual energy, then, this is Sagittarius energy, which is all about the beast becoming man, gaining some kind of self-sovereignty over your lower nature so that they don't run your life. And especially if you are on a masculine journey, masculine path, that is the masculine path, right? Rules over Mars, the rudimentary sun, that rules over the groin. So, and that is so that you can have this like healthy, balanced relationship, right? A holy relationship that is blessed by spirit. So I'm so sorry. I feel like that was a really tough message. I hate giving messages like that, but also that's what I was getting. So anyway, some of you guys, to pull this back, some of you are struggling in career, and it's like the exact opposite way, where you are really good in social situations. You're really good in in friendships and having this like equal give and take relationships, but you stepping up into a leadership position, that's what's throwing you, because you're trying to apply the same kind of balance of this equal give and take to your situation. The same rules do not apply. You're still looking for balance, but you're looking at it in a different way. And some of you think that you're going to be a jerk, especially if you're female and you're stepping into a leadership position. Society will tell you that, you're being arrogant or whatever if you take the lead, right? And so many of us who have been female leaders, a lot of times there's some kind of just subtle undermining of that energy. And I feel like it's like our primate brains all talking to each other and trying to get past like whatever hurdle. But that's something that I'm really strongly seeing here, of like owning your role as a leader and understanding that it all does come from you, because there's something here where this mix up has been happening and it's been causing a blockage for you. This is a reading about blockage. You got the blockage card here with the Two of Swords. And the reason it's a blockage here, we've got the Emperor energy. This is like, it's tradition. Tradition's a big one that's playing out here. There's some kind of father figure in traditions. Yeah, like that could be why this is ending up being a blockage. Some of you guys, I'm strongly getting some of you are the Emperor. Like, and that, like, you're living your life from being the role of the Emperor, and not, Jess or Jimmy or whoever it is that you are. Like, you're that person, Maybe that's how this person's buttering you up too. Like, oh, you're such a good role. And you're like, but that self-empowerment thing, placing material considerations over self-empowerment. It's like individuating, taking up that mantle of individuating and not just simply settling for being a role, a boss, a father, a lady boss, whatever it is, like, and learning how to be yourself and just be yourself in that role. That's going to be a much more powerful place for you. Then also some of you guys, like, you have a boss here that you feel is preventing you from being yourself or preventing you from excelling or something like that. But I feel like, again, if there's certain places where maybe you don't realize, it really wouldn't bother you to make certain allowances for other people. You have the empathy card here at the bottom. I'm open to seeing both sides of a situation. And I feel like for some of you guys who are struggling, like you're better in your social relationships and you're struggling with striking a balance in your business relationships, maybe you're over empathizing with other people and you're not empathizing enough with yourself. And that leads to weak boundaries and being super porous and developing your sense of self based on other people's feedback. Brene Brown, baby, unless you're also in the ring getting your butt kicked, I am not interested in your feedback, right? So for some of you, it's like that entry point, but for others of you, it is just learning to see something from from someone else's perspective, because some of you have been in leadership positions a long time, to the point where it's really not going to chip away from you. It's actually going to enhance you to bring other people into the fold and be like, actually, Timmy here, who is on this such and such team, had a really great idea and we're partnering together in order to bring his idea to fruition. I'm so proud of him. And then, you become that leader that lifts other people up and that delegates things out to other people. And you just become that rising tide that lifts all boats, and you live that leadership energy inside and out. Another thing that I'm getting here, because I also researched courage. That was another one of my values. And there was a Lao Tzu quote that says, caring leads to courage, or courage comes from caring. Having the courage to do something, because you start to realize that when you start showing up in your own life, that actually is caring about other people, because you start to fill out your role. Some of you guys are in leadership positions, but you have your own boss, and like that boss, you feel like that person doesn't share your vision and they're holding you back in some way. But there's some way where it's like, there's a path through, you guys, I'm telling you. I don't know what it is. It's going to be nuanced, but I feel like if you start doing this values work, literally look up a list of values, pick out the ones that are sticking out to you strongly now, become a nerd like me, write them all in the back of your planner, research them, because I feel like there's ways that you can show what it is that you want to do and the progress that you can make with it, and it might change the situation. But anyways, with this temperance energy, that is all about balance, moving slow, having patience with yourself, connecting with your purpose. And temperance comes after the death card. So some of you guys, like, there has been a big clinging, there has been a big transformation, and I feel like this has happened for most of you guys internally. And now you're starting to solidify around this new identity that you're having for yourself, this new understanding of the world. Some of you, like, it's a promotion, or you got this new job, you're in this new environment, but you're starting to develop this sense of pride. I love myself and I see myself in everyone. That this pride empathy thing, it's kind of the Aries Libra axis, where pride is like pride in yourself and you loving yourself, but then also seeing yourself in everyone through this empathy energy, being open to seeing both sides of the situation. And learning when and where each of those energies is appropriate. Yeah, because with the Hierophant energy, you guys are being brought up into some kind of leadership position with this Hierophant energy. And there is some kind of higher wisdom that wants to come through. And also, you guys are examples. I feel like you're examples. It's saying, again, don't fall into the trap of being a role. Be a person that does a role. And I like, this kind of bothers me. This has just become what bothers me about our culture. But one thing is like, to be a man, you got to do this. And it's like, no, like, we have men all around us and they're each like showing off their own way of being a man. Same thing with women. To be a woman, you've got to do this. No, like, I am a woman. I do certain things my own way, but this is a valid way of being a woman, And so, but that's a way to get us to try to live up to our role, and in a way that throws us off our path, because it throws us off of the scent of our own individuation, where your highest goal then is becoming trying to fit into some weird box of a role, where instead our highest aspiration should be becoming fully ourselves and developing ourselves in our own unique way, I feel like this was a sermon, you guys. I'm so sorry if I was preaching at you. I feel like you got this. This is strong leadership energy. I get tons of leadership energy on this channel because I do see spirit moving through individuals who are working hard on themselves, trying to get them exalted into leadership positions so we can change and move into the age of Aquarius, which is the energy of everybody has a place and everybody has something valuable to give. And it's the point of a leader to see that in other people and lift that up, not doing everything themselves, not that's shadow side Leo, arrogance, pride. But this is healthy pride right here. And pride is the group. Ah, I love that. I never thought about that before. Leo's opposite energy is Aquarius, the group. Pride is the group. Yes. I love this. So basically, pile number 2, what is holding you back in life? I feel like it's balance. But that balance is tied into your selfhood and the way that you're doing that, and also realizing that there are different ways of achieving balance in different situations. And by becoming aware of that, and certainly by becoming aware of your selfhood, what's important to you, your values, and what are your non-negotiables, and also what are your priorities, because you're going to get everything done. Pile number 2, you just have a lot longer to do it than you think, but when you establish your priorities, it'll help you make the right decisions, the better decisions. And for some of you guys, that means cutting down on certain things. And really getting back to, like, I don't know, I feel like you need some kind of guiding light. That's what values are. You guys, I've had to do all this values work. My patrons know this because your girl hits therapy pretty hard now. And value, like in my little video I had to watch for my therapy, it's like values are a guiding light, but then goals are specific actionable steps. So I feel like this pile needs a guiding light here in something, reacquainting yourself with that. I was surprised by my values. Maybe you'll be surprised by your values here too. So anyways, I just want to point out one other thing. Ooh, we had the vampire card and hedonist. Ooh, okay. But with this chariot, this is about, right? We've got balance energy. The chariot is about having 2 opposing viewpoints, making your decisions based on values, because you learn that in the Lover's card, which comes before this one. And then being able to move forward. So it's like getting clear on your values. That's how you're going to unite these 2 opposing energies. And it's going to be a process. This came out in pile number 1. I know this has been a forever long reading, pile number 2. I hope you got something out of it. Some of you might want to watch pile number 1 as well. If you guys are interested in the channel Sleuthness and you're having trouble finding it, and I haven't linked it in the description because I know I'm bad at that, hit me up in the comments. I'm happy to link that up. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. If that resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Bye guys. pile number 3, what is the biggest blockage? What is holding you back here in your life? Okay, the first message is so beautiful. It's just time. It is just time. Be patient with yourself, because I can see here some you guys are learning a skill. And it's a higher order skill. It's not something that's just rote knowledge. I mean, probably that's a part of it, just patterns and repetition and things like that. But with this alchemist energy, transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. You might have a brain or that does this, or you might be in a certain like time period of your life where when you learn basic things, it actually gives you some kind of greater insight. I'm just getting like the neural pathways in your brain are all lighting up, and you're finding these connections between seemingly opposite things. Yeah, some of you guys, there's like opposites energy here where you're trying to integrate opposite things, and that just takes time. Even with this alchemist card, I always think of the temperance card, which of course like has the angel that's performing the divine alchemy, trying to combine fire and water. And that, of course, that takes some kind of higher order divine knowledge, if you will, but it also takes time and patience and purpose. And I feel like you have all of those things. So Spirit, first of all, is just saying your biggest blockage right now, the thing that's holding you back the most, is just understanding that it's just good old time, divine timing. I accept that everything happens in divine order. Okay, so another thing about this everything happening in divine order situation, and balance is a thing that came out here in pile number 2 as well, but I feel like this is adjusting your view of balance. I was telling pile number 2 that I've been trying to rediscover my values, because your values change over time. So I've been figuring out what values I'm holding right now. And then because I'm a nerd, in the back of my planner, I've been literally researching my values. And it's actually been really, really enlightening, because there's just small little ways that you can integrate things, and breaking things down into their little components has been really helpful for me. But balance is one of my values, and I researched into balance, and a couple of the things that like really changed my view on balance, reading all these articles by these different psychologists. And one of them is that it's very helpful to take a long-term view of balance, because sometimes, even though it's a paradox, we have to be out of balance in certain moments in our life in order to truly be in balance, because balance happens in different spheres, on different scales, if that makes sense. So let me just give this example of, like, say you're a lawyer and you have these values of boldness, but you also have a value of vulnerability. Sometimes, not all the time, those values can be in conflict with each other, right? But say you have a court case on a Tuesday and it's contentious, and you've got to bring your bold self to that moment, and that court case lasts all day, right? So you're bold then. But then say on Sunday you bring your kids and your dog to the park, and you're really vulnerable and open and loving on that Sunday, and you get to express that side to yourself. And overall, you have brought yourself into balance. But where people can throw themselves off is like we try to find balance on too small of a scale, where it doesn't always work sometimes, where you want to say, like, well, in this day, on Tuesday, even though I'm in this really contentious case, I want to be living both my value of vulnerability and boldness. But it doesn't always work like that. So sometimes we have to take a longer view of balance. And so I feel like that's part of what's being asked of you here, pile number 3, is that you're being asked to embrace almost like an extreme way of living or of looking at something for the time being. But it actually is a part of your overall balance. And what I mean by that is, I think some of you guys, like I said, I feel like you're learning some kind of skill. Some of you guys are in a graduate program, and you just don't have time to like hang out with friends, or even to be in a relationship. And that is a part of the overall grand plan, is what I want to say. That might be tough to hear, but it really is, because I feel like you got change at the bottom of the deck over here. I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement, and there's you are undergoing some kind of like big transformation. I'm just getting this image of Spirit like putting you in the oven. I'm so sorry, not in like a violent way, just like, actually that's a perfect metaphor, because like I said, you're pulling in all these like opposite energies, right? So it's almost like you're a pie, and so there's all these ingredients in you, and then Spirit's putting you in the oven. You gotta bake, and you gotta stay in the oven until the timer goes off, because that's another thing that I'm getting here is like that could be a big blockage for you, is just keeping your energy, like being alone. Because some of you guys, like your friends are giving you a hard time. They're like, oh, we never see you anymore. And it's like, you're like, that's because I'm working really hard on this thing that I'm very driven to do. And that's what Spirit is saying. That is your path. And if those people don't understand, and if you've done your best to communicate yourself and those people end up falling away, that's part of the process too. Because I feel like there is something here about changing your relationships. I'm not telling you to just like wipe everybody and start over. I think it's just a natural process that's happening through you having to like be more and more alone. Because I really am getting this image of you like in your scientist's coat with frizzy hair in your lab, throwing things all around and performing your experiments. And that's exactly where you're supposed to be. But remember that study that came out like a few years ago and everybody was talking about it, but it was like there's something about, you take on traits of the 5 people that are closest to you. And so like successful people have people who are very motivating and very successful around them. And in this case, you guys do have some troubling people around you. Not everybody, but they're there. But even if it's not that, like there's it's like you need to embrace certain skills in your life. So Spirit wants to kind of transform who you're around. For some of you, it's like you're going to meet people in this program that you're in or who share similar interests. And that's going to be important for you for this next step, because you're going to take on different traits from different people. And Spirit is saying, it's okay to grieve. I feel like you guys in private, like you could be going through a big grieving process, and maybe you've been kind of putting that off here for yourself. But that's like a big part of it. Now, the other thing is relationships, because like I said, I feel like some of you guys can have a tendency to trust the wrong people. And that comes from, I think some of you guys are very virtued people, like you have some kind of higher ideals. And it's almost like somebody will say like, oh, well, you have this value of forgiveness, but I stabbed you in the back and you can't forgive me, And so then you're like, oh man, I want to be living up to my ideals of forgiveness. But that person has like this forked tongue where they're kind of distorting that message. Those people can be around. So, and I feel like this has to do with like your personal relationships, because some of you guys, like there's a lot of betrayal energy here. So if you have that pattern with Mercury in your relationships, that probably does come from like early childhood, where your nervous system with Mercury, your nervous system was getting patterned, and you have these like very deep neural grooves in your mind. And so a lot of this is just becoming aware of these patterns that you have, and you're becoming aware of these patterns by being alone and by being introspective, and then grieving a lot of the hurt, and possibly grieving a reconciliation with someone, because there's something like better for you, but you got to stay in the oven. I put you back in the oven. It's like, yeah, because I feel like you guys have already initiated this change where you're starting to say like, wait a minute, there's a pattern here. Because I'm also like, I'm just thinking of myself, with narcissistic abuse that I've suffered, like, and so many of us have, there's a pattern to that cycle. Mercury's patterns. And so I think to myself of like, there's skills and things that you can learn, because I always watch Dr. Ramani, where it's like she teaches you skills. Think about like Esther Perel. She teaches relationship skills. Like we don't have to just like go into relationships blind. There are skills and there are patterns and there are things to really look for. There's methods of like communicating things. And so I feel like some of you guys, you're already on this big journey where you're starting to realize the pattern. Another thing is I was listening to someone talk about burnout the other day, and she was saying she has a burnout tell where she starts craving carby foods before she knows she's headed for a burnout. And there's something here like that where you're like, oh, I this happens, and then I realize that, and then I get betrayed, or I get left out in the cold or whatever. So there's something here like that. So all of this is kind of folding together. So let me just like try and rein this in. Your biggest blockage, pile number 3, is time. I feel like you guys have initiated a lot of different introspective and learning processes for yourself, professionally and personally in your life, that you're doing them beautifully. You're pulling in information for yourself. It's just a matter of time and allowing those changes to really sink in and I'm just like, yeah, you're marinating. A lot of food metaphors in this. So I don't know if that's like a part of it. It's okay to be alone. And as a matter of fact, like maybe it is a struggle for you, but there is something here where you're being asked to be more alone. And maybe that feels like you are out of balance because you have a value of being in relationship and also being like a work person. I'm fond of saying in my own life, you can have everything. You can't have everything all at once. So like you know, I feel like some of you guys, you could be building up some kind of a career or something. You want to get that stable and flowing before you like have a family or something. So see, that's that longer term of balance, like that longer term view of balance that we were talking about, where maybe you have to be alone and isolated now, but it's because you're pulling in some kind of divine relationship. Now I can see here there's a big change that's coming in here in your future, a big change in fortune. And what Spirit is trying to say is like, if you stay in the oven, you're going to have this extreme reversal in fortune. I feel like you guys, there's some kind of skill that you are developing, and it's like you're combining your head and your heart, and Spirit wants you to do that, and it wants you to put yourself out there in that way, and you will be very abundant. You'll serve some kind of higher cause here. You could be very inspirational. A lot of you guys are going to be public speakers on something, but it's just allowing the wisdom to sink in. And then you're going to have the energy of an Esther Perel or of a Brené Brown. Maybe you're not going to be mega famous like them, but you can tell that they eat, sleep, breathe, and believe in what they're saying. There's a reason that their messages are so powerful, and it's because it comes from so deep within them, and they've really put the time in. They've really gone through the paces, and I feel like that's what you're building, pile number 3, is something like that. And yeah, like some of you guys too, you are building some kind of superiority with your experience, and some kind of wisdom, but you've had like I feel like kind of difficult lives, but if you stay in that oven, you're going to conquer all of this. So your advice is actually to allow the turmoil inside of you, because there's real sense of opposites, and some of you hold opposite values, and you're just learning how to maybe about balance, about having that longer term view of balance, and really just accepting that this is a season in your life where you need to express one of the extremes of that, but that's a part of your overall journey towards balance. This is Saturn in Leo, so that literally a restriction of your sun, of your selfhood. And I hate giving people that advice, but again, I feel like their Spirit is saying, take an extreme action now, pile number 3, and that is actually the way to bring yourself into balance. So it's saying like pull things back, because a lot of you guys, there's a hurt here that really does need to be healed. And it could actually end up causing some kind of harm or betrayal for you. I'm just trying to read whatever I'm seeing here in the cards. I feel like what you're looking for here on your personal life, if that's the thread that's resonating, I think for a lot of you guys, this is dual, but is a big release of emotion. You're going to know when you hit it because it's hurt. Maybe it's coming out as vitriol, as anger right now, but it's hurt deep down is what Spirit is saying. And you're going to know you hit pay dirt because you just might start crying out of the blue, or you'll just be in the shower and it'll just purge right out of you. I'm also, some of you guys just like, I'm seeing somebody covered in sweat. So there's a huge just integration of certain lessons that are coming through, recognizing certain patterns, and recognizing that maybe you've trusted the wrong people in your life before, because with Mercury here, I'm not trying to blame you. I hope it doesn't seem that way, because Mercury, like I said, is our nervous system. And if you have experienced some kind of abuse in your past, then your nervous system feels comfortable and you can actually gravitate, like it feels like home. People who mimic that, whatever that abuse pattern was. And so it's a tough pattern to break because it feels like home and you're drawn into that energy until, you really have that support in order to be able to come aware of it, Even just, if you're under 20, like the brain develops at 25, and so even then, or just having enough stability, getting enough space around you to where you can be objective in your thinking too. So I hope this was not offensive, pile number 3, but that's what I have for you. If that resonated, please comment and subscribe to my channel. Bye guys.